what's up, guys? Welcome to FiredUp KC. I'm Zeke Onganga, and I got
Abby Higginbotham.
today we're bringing the leaders from Kansas City, and today we're going to be inspired by two great leaders here today. I got Mayor Quinton Lucas, and I got Owen in the house today. It's going to be a fantastic show today. How are you doing today, Mr. Quinton?
I'm doing great. It's good to be with you. I'm fired up, ready to go.
And how are you doing?
I'm great. Fired up. Let's do it.
I'm excited to have you guys here today. I'm really honored to have you guys actually join us today. But let's get right into it. Let's not waste any time. So Mayor Q, tell people, who is Mayor Q? We know you. We won't really hear your story because I've heard your story inspires me. Tell the people.
Well, you know just a few things about me. So
Yes.
I'm born and raised in Kansas City.
Okay.
I grew up in a family that moved around all the time, but I actually remember it in some humorous ways. We were homeless part of my upbringing, but the reason that it wasn't tough was actually part of that I was in a nursing home,
Okay.
like crashing with my great aunt. And so if you've ever been a 10-year-old in a nursing home, you're very popular with all of the senior ladies.
Yeah.
And so I remember that, but basically then went on to college in St. Louis, law school in New York State, and then came back to Kansas City to try to start making a difference. Ran for office at 29 for city council, and then decided to try to become mayor. Got elected at 34, and so been at it for 7 months. Brought Chiefs Super Bowl already.
Yeah.
So I'll lay claim to all of it.
Awesome.
We want to ask the same question to you. Who are you and how did you get to this point in your life?
Pretty random a little bit, but I'm from Kansas City, also born and raised. Grew up not too far from here, northeast Kansas City.
Yeah.
Went to Holy Cross School over there, Rockhurst High School, KU, then UMKC for grad school. So kind of spent my whole life here and grew up in accounting firms and consulting firms,
Yeah.
and somehow wound my way up here doing private aviation. So
Wow.
can't complain.
Wow, yeah, I mean, hey, that's an awesome job. That's an awesome job. Now, I really want to, because this show is all about leadership, it's all about inspiration. And with your story, Mayor Q, I want to ask you specifically about South Africa. When
Yes.
you went there. What was that like? What was that like?
Loved it. Loved every moment about South
Yeah.
Africa. So try not to go too long on the story, but basically I started going to the Kansas City Public Library for air conditioning when I was a kid in the summers, because as you
Okay.
know, it's just too hot here. We didn't have it at home. Had to get out the house.
Yes.
And a librarian one day said, you should actually read when you come to the library instead of just like sitting and staring at the Sports Illustrated. For some reason, I'm a nerd in like 1995. I get real into like reading about South Africa, even as a kid. So then the older I got, the more I was like, I'm going to go there someday. So then in college, I went to WashU in St. Louis. They had a program, could take us to Cape Town. Loved every minute of it. I mean, so I always like to say South Africa is great because you can do three different things. If you want to study history, get into race relations, all that stuff, you can actually study that. If you want to just be a bum and go to beaches and not think about anything, other than that, you got that. Or if you want to go to game parks, reserves, that sort of thing, you have that. But like the culture can't be matched. I mean, they have their challenges, but it is a beautiful place. I could tell you stories for hours about my time in Southern Africa.
Sounds like a blast. Like, how long were you there?
I was just there a semester, so I did 5.5 months there and went up to Namibia, Mozambique, learned a little bit in Xhosa, all of that. I'm trying. And, it was real cool. The funny thing, I was gone so long that at one point I was listening to the BBC World Service, and like President Bush II was still president. Like he came on, and I'm like, do Americans really sound like that? I'm like, man. He's like, Katrina's real bad. And I'm like, darn. Right. But anyway, so it was made for a great time.
Yeah, wow. So, Mr. John Owens, just tell people about how did you become the CEO of a private jet company? Because that's big. That's big time. How did that even happen?
Really is.
I'd say a little bit of it is luck, being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I had CFO background, so initially was helping people search for CFOs. So spent about a year or so doing that, and FiredUp called and said, hey, we need a CFO, and I was supposed to be the guy helping them find one. And I go, you know what? I got your guy right here. So I, talked to the ownership group, and I said, hey, I know you hired me to help you out to find this, but I think my background suits you pretty well. So came on to be the CFO, and then about a year and a half later, took over the CEO role.
Wow.
So
Wow.
right place, right time, a lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
I wanted to ask really quick, have either of you guys read the book The Secret?
I have not.
I can't say I have.
Okay, you know a little
Yeah,
bit more about it.
so basically, The Secret is a book all about energy. Like the energy you put out is what comes back to you.
Okay.
More like about you being able to use your mind to create what you want, right? And I believe that every human being, we do that every day, but we don't not consciously, doing it. But I just want to ask, so being able to have that mindset of putting things out, did you guys think I think you kind of mentioned, but you didn't see it coming, but do you have a feeling that you are the one for, where you are today at some point in your life?
No, in some ways. I mean, I think I'm competent and can do a good job, and frankly thought I was strong. I mean, if you ever run for political office, you are kind of saying, you're like, this city has 500,000 people, and I think I'm the one who can figure out answers, so maybe I do say that. But no, look, I'm not confused. I mean, I always like to joke that if I got hit by one of our new KC free buses tomorrow, then I'm sure there would be someone else who would be a very competent, talented mayor. My bigger thing that I always see my life as is I'm trying to have an impact in wherever I am, like each day. And I think particularly for young people that's important because sometimes they try to tell you, oh, just wait, right? And I was like, no, let me try to do what I can. And then once voters run me out, I'll go figure out something or I'll call him for a job. So I know he knows how to do a good search.
Right here, connections right here.
There we go.
There you go.
So let us know. What do you think? What do you think about you being able to be where you are today? Did you say this happened or?
10 years ago, did you think that you'd be here today?
I think growing up, I knew I wanted to be in business. So where that led me, I didn't know. And sometimes it was a pretty straight path. Sometimes it was backwards. Sometimes it was sideways. But, I always had a desire to run or own a business. So, whether I got there, I didn't know. But that was always the end goal. And, lucky after 20 years of graduating, kind of got there, So I was talking with Mr. Emmett Pierce. I don't know if you know him.
I know Emmett.
But I had him on my show. I think it was sometime in I think it was in February, and we're kind of talking about you having the it factor. That thing that when you come out, people kind of like draw it to you. Like I don't know what it is, but you have that it factor. What do you think about the it factor itself? Because I know you have it. I know you have it.
When we were coming up, like the people with the it factor were supermodels and all that sort of stuff. Like, I could never think that I'm quite that level. I think it does go back to the energy in that regard. You have to have this excitement and passion for what you're doing. And I think people can tell if you care or you don't. And so I'll give an example. I'm a lawyer by training, right? And went to a good law school and all that sort of stuff. But my life's mission was not to sit and write legal briefs all day. It's great work. It'll pay you far more than it should. I mean, just to write like a nasty email. He knows. He has to deal with lawyers sometimes. It's crazy. But it was me recognizing, I'm like, is this what like actually inspires me to have joy, want to engage with people, want to do long days? And I think I found that thing that really allows me to wed some of the background legal knowledge I had with just being out with people. And so that's what builds an it factor in any one of us, just something that like that.
That fires you up.
It does. I mean, it absolutely does. You gotta like be interested in it. And even on my toughest day in this job, which feels like every other day, there is still just this interest, right? I wake up, I'm interested in what's happening. I want to challenge it, and I encourage anybody to try to find them.
I wanted to ask a question to both of you, but I want to start with you. Have you ever doubted just yourself, going through this process of getting where you are today, and then how did you deal with that necessarily?
Oh, all the time, every day, probably. It's. I think you just get on a path of, you feel like you know what you're doing, and you hope what you're doing, and the things you don't know, you seek advice for, and so. I mean, I think we failed nonstop, but that's kind of the good things. That's kind of the good thing about it. I think is just learning to kind of persevere through it, and keep going. But I think there's no way you're not going to fail doing this stuff. You're going to hit a road bump somewhere, and it's just as long as you got the right attitude and the energy behind it. I think you'll figure it out.
What do you think?
Yeah. You guys both strike me as young. I'm not assuming, but if you've ever played a sport, or the older you get, ever tried to get back into running, it always hurts when you start, right? And then you're like, I can't do it. And then, you realize that's not old man me, you just want to quit, but you have to keep going and you keep pushing it. And I think that's so many days in professional life too. Literally, every day there's something you doubt, but you have to remember why you're doing it, and that helps push you through. I mean, in my campaign a year ago, on this date a year ago, I was a month out from an election. I was 6th place in the polls, out of 12. And, I remember I had like a dinner with this guy from a law firm in Kansas City. I was trying to ask him for money for a donation.
Yeah.
He was just trying to say, so when you lose, we'll offer you a job. That'll be great. And I was like, well, I'm not going to lose, right? You have to, and then, but you still have that doubt, but it's kind of overcoming it. That's exactly what so much of life is about with it. Whether it be professional, whether it be a relationship, will she really talk to me, right? I mean, there are all types of steps with it,
Yeah.
That must have been a really fun dinner.
It was nice though. I'll give him that. It was a nice dinner.
I mean, I want to say I really love hearing that from you, both of you guys, because you guys are successful, and me being in school, we being in school and know that every day we like, I don't even know what I'm doing here, you know.
We're
And,
just
like,
working towards graduation.
Yeah, we're just like
right
trying to
now.
graduate
Yeah.
right now. And I mean, like, cause when I started this show, I had I think my first interview, and she told me that none of us know what we're doing. You know, we just kind of wake up and do it.
Yeah.
You know. And like most days, I'm like, I don't even know if this is gonna work or whatnot. But like hearing you guys actually being able to, I think it's fake it till you make it, and being able to believe it, even though it sounds corny. But like sometimes it's like that, right? Where you show up and like do stuff. You know?
Yeah.
But let me tell you this, right? You guys aren't just trying to like hang out till you graduate. Trust me, we went to college too. We knew those people, right?
That may have been me.
Right. Like those, heck, I didn't really do that, right? Those people weren't like taking these classes or experiences in the evening, really trying to talk to people and all of that. So I think sometimes it's about like recognizing what you're already doing and some of the like hard work you're putting in now that's going to prepare you for incredible experiences beyond that. And so I think something that I've learned, particularly in politics, so like during this presidential campaign, I've met lots of the candidates and all of that, and you realize they're just people, right? They're just like us, right? And so that's you too. You're not far from anything that we're doing, and in fact, I expect you to exceed both of us.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because I know when I was younger, I was always nervous to reach out to people. And you guys coming up and be like, sure, we'll come up. I mean, I think that people that have been around a little while see the benefits of helping out and being involved and taking people to lunch and coffees. I mean, I'll take just about any call that it comes in, because I think I owe it back to all the people that did that for me when I was younger. So I think,
I know that you both are incredibly busy human beings, but I'm curious, what do you guys do in your free time when you have it?
I have 3 little kids, 11, 9,
There
and
you go.
6. So it is. I mean, you get off work on Friday. I think Saturday and Sunday are busier than Monday through Friday. 'Cause it's game after game after game after game, but it's a fun break from the craziness of the Monday through Friday. So yeah, that's what I spend most of my time doing.
And then oddly enough, this was before I became mayor, but I used to like be into kayaking. Odd way I fell into it because I can't swim. So you really just fought. And this is even the crazier part. In New York City. So like I had a friend which usually you don't think of going on a kayaking trip in New York City. Like I had a friend there, and then she was like, hey, we can like rent kayaks at something. It was more touristy, but then I just started liking it, liking the
You couldn't
experience.
swim?
No, and so you just get a good life jacket on and you hope for the best. But and then eventually would just start doing it in the Hudson River, which you wouldn't think is great for it. But I kind of like that juxtaposition of being like doing something natural, but so close to giant buildings and skyscrapers. And so I like that. Came back to Missouri and then try to get out and do. I mean, it's great because I'm not on my phone. I'm not getting bothered by anybody. It's just me and floating down a river.
Another thing I really want to talk about is you being able to connect with the city. Like you are the most involved mayor I've seen of all time. Like you are at the games, you're at every event. How do you manage to run a city and be that engaged with the city? How do you do that?
I think everybody just has a different approach to how they do mayor. Like the ones that I've known about in my life and adulthood, have all had different ways, and then it's helped me. Probably my age gets me to know social media a little better than some of the others might. And then comparative youth actually just allows you to like be in all these things, have a level of energy that's something. But what my predecessor, for example, I think is 30 years older than me, or maybe just a little less. Ever since I've been in this position, because I'm exhausted at the end of every night, I'm like, how do you do this in your 60s, right? I mean, and frankly, we've had several mayors at that age, and it's, I find that kind of admirable, or even presidential candidates, because all of them are in their 70s now, it seems, for the most part. You know, how they're able to do that and sustain it each day. You know, speaking itself takes a lot of energy, as you all know. And so really it's just, you know, trying to get rest in, having a lot of support, and that makes a world of difference.
I had a quick question about AirShare. So where, I know this is a change of topic, but where are you guys flying in with the company?
We are headquartered here,
Yeah.
but we operate out of essentially Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, Colorado, kind of the upper Midwest, Chicago, Louisville area, and Buffalo, New York. So yeah, it's one of those. I've been around 20 years, started in Wichita, Kansas, and slowly grew what it is today. So yeah, we're all over the place.
Do you get to fly on private jets?
We get to use them sometimes. It's not a bad way to go. Yeah.
Can we get
I
to
mean,
fly?
I never get asked that. Yeah.
We can get a tour.
Yeah.
But
We could do it.
Yeah,
But yeah, we do move them in and around Kansas City.
Okay.
If you ever want to, we could easily put you on there and
the
go
plug,
from
right now,
From
right
down
now,
south
we
to
would love
downtown.
that.
Right now, we would absolutely
We would
love
love
Oh,
to take
yeah.
our show to the private jet.
Yes, we would
That
love
would be a
to
good
do an
idea.
interview about that.
Hey, we could do that. Yeah.
That's awesome. How about them Chiefs? How about them Chiefs?
That's right.
You got to be a mayor. You got to hold the trophy. Your first couple months, you know, of being in office. How was that for you?
Well, basically, I feel like I can retire now.
You did it all.
I've done everything I ever dreamed of, and so now it was, you know, it was amazing. And I think more than, you know, my own joy, lifelong Chiefs fan, was seeing the town get to celebrate. You know, on the parade morning, I actually got out there pretty early, about I think 6 o'clock or so, and was just shaking hands with some people who I thought I was into the Chiefs. Like they were way into the Chiefs. They were like, "We got here last night." I'm like, "It is frigid." They had their kids out there, but you know, I think it's amazing for our whole region that we got this.
Yes. What do you think about the Chiefs winning the Super
I
Bowl?
mean, being here all my life, it's long overdue. I went to a lot of games to get there, so it's been fun. We got to deal with the Chiefs where we fly them around, we fly Mahomes around, so we get to see kind of the inner workings of them kind of getting to where they got there. So it's neat to see, you know, that all kind of come together.
I want to transition of the question of what motivates you guys, and I'll start with you.
Oh gosh, you know, I think I've always said this, that my goal in public service is not so much to just create opportunities for that exceptional, ambitious person, but actually in many ways for the person who's not. When I think about politics too often, too often we actually aren't thinking about, what about that kid who, let's say, isn't a motivated student, is in high school, is wondering if they'll even be able to graduate high school. How do we make sure that there are opportunities for them in our society, in our community? And I want to expand that, and I think that helps us address things like violent crime. It addresses things like housing, because we need to give people more hope. So I think that is a big part of what motivates me each day, and at least what I do.
Yeah, and I'd say for me, I kind of just enjoy having fun.
Yeah.
So I try to take that attitude to work every day, and whether successful or not, I mean, I think you spend a lot of time working, so you should enjoy it. So we try to just create as fun atmosphere as we can, and you know, take the company wherever we think it should go, to where it becomes more profitable, and you can share in that profitability with all the employees, and they can share with their families, and just, you know, overall just enjoy yourself. I mean, I think, you know, sometimes people get way too wrapped up in work and don't step back a little bit and say, you know, let's just kind of enjoy the process, I guess.
Now, piggyback off of that, because like this show is all about leadership. Like I said, it's all about, you know, purpose and being able to inspire students to pursue their purpose and find the value in who they are. Now, I talked about being able to focus on your strengths. Do you think that's important? Because I think growing up, personally for me, we've always been taught to, if you can do math, work hard at that thing you can do good at and get it right till you go and do other things. But I've seen that most people like Mahomes who are, you know, said football is good, that's what I want to do, I want to focus on my strengths. Do you guys think it's important to focus on your strengths mainly, or go and do the hard things and then figure the hard things out and then do the easy things later?
I mean, I'd say do it all.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't think you know what your strengths are until you've tried something that you probably don't think you're very good at.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I'd say when I was younger, I was a pretty introverted, quiet kid, and then you get into some of the business development type work and getting out and about, and you're like, oh, this ain't so bad, you know. And so I think you got to try it all, because I think trying the hard things is what's going to make you better anyway.
Yeah.
And so if you will just stick to what you're good at, you're going to miss out on a ton of experiences.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I think, just to follow up, no, I think that's absolutely the case. It was the things that were incredibly challenging for me that in many ways helped mold me, let me know kind of how I could grow, where I needed to improve on some things. And sometimes that really helps you build resiliency. Getting your butt kicked in a collegiate calculus course is something that really lets you know, all right, I need to actually figure out how to study. Right? It's not just coming up with an essay late at night. I mean, that's something that helped me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring up, you said that you were an introvert growing up. So I know both of you do public speaking, you being a CEO, you being the mayor. Were you guys just naturally good at, I know maybe, I'm also an introvert slightly, that you had to work on it, or were you naturally just a good public speaker and then it came to you? Like,
well, starting with me, I started getting opportunities to do public speaking fairly young. I was actually, people always ask, was debate your thing and all that? I did improv in high school and late middle school. And it's odd because I still remember to this day, Belton, Missouri is a town a little south of Kansas City if you've never been. And I was at an improv tournament in Belton, of all places, which was interesting. And all these 14-year-olds were trying to be as creative as possible, cracking the world's worst 1990s jokes. I mean, you won't get any necessarily. But, got me to be good at coming up with stuff, but frankly, actually making succinct points, right? Public speaking isn't just kind of, are you able to stand there and not be nervous? A lot of it is that you have to be kind of impactful, judicious with your words as well. And so that was probably the thing that built me the most in terms of public speaking.
and then with you being a CEO?
Well, I'd say I was petrified of it early on. And the thing that changed me was, I think you just kind of got to see yourself do it, because I think everybody sits there and thinks they look silly and they look like they're nervous and freaking out, and then you watch yourself do it once, you're like, oh, I didn't look that bad. So and that was a master's class, and then so after that, I think I got a lot more comfortable with it, and then a lot of it's just doing it. So it's kind of, you know what, I'm not quite comfortable with this, but I'll just keep doing it, and then eventually it just a little bit becomes second nature, I think. But yeah, it goes with the whole kind of deal of trying things you don't like, because you may just find out it's not all that bad. You may end up liking it. Yeah.
Now, going into a little bit different subject, because I believe that everyone fails. Now, sometimes I don't see it as failure, because some people think they become failure when they fail, but I think it's a process to success. Now, what are times when you failed, and what are people you think who have doubted you so much that you think they either motivated you or made you feel discouraged in your process of becoming who you are today?
So one person who just pushed you a little bit more because they were like,
I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can do it. That made you like, oh man, I wish that person could be on my boat,
Mine's my brother. He just was a pain in my butt all the time. He was just like, no, you can't do it. And I was like, okay, watch me. So do you guys have that person maybe?
I mean, I don't know if I do. I think there's a little bit of people all over that are like that. I didn't have one specific person growing up, but I think you're always going to have doubters, right? Whether you can do the job or whether you can perform or whatever. And I think it's motivating, as in I love proving people wrong. So I think it's kind of fun to say, oh, you know what? All right, if you don't think I can do this, I'll just do it. But yeah.
The nature of my position is that, like 40% of the people are doubters, right? At least, right? And you'll open the paper or pull it up online, really, and you'll be like, wow, okay, well, that's one take, and it does. It gives you thicker skin, and you just know, again, back to like, all right, why am I doing this? Because if you spend too much time like focusing on your haters or your doubters, then it can consume you. President Nixon, when he resigned, for me to get all old man professor-ish, right, did say something like, never start to like hate your enemies, or else that hate ends up consuming you, which was completely what doomed him. And I try to make sure that I never let that get me down too much.
Wow.
So we're both in our early 20s, and what's the best advice you think you could give to someone who's just like in college right now, early 20s?
I mean,
Enjoy
enjoy college, first of all. Don't try to get out too quick.
Ain't that for sure.
But I mean, I'd say try whatever you want to try. I mean, I still, of all the things that I've done, different things that I've done, there's still things I wish I would have still tried. So I think you just go with it. You know what I mean? And just go with your gut a little bit and navigate your way through it, because you both will be successful. You can tell by the way you kind of carry yourselves that I wouldn't worry too much about it, and just go out there, have fun, and try different things.
So, I'm going to go full circle because you asked me about South Africa at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I remember that I had a month left in South Africa and I was basically out of money. And I remember that I had my sister, my broke sister, now has 6 kids. She already had 2 then. She sent me like $100 and said, go on that trip. We were taking a trip up to actually Zimbabwe. And so she said, Mozambique. And she said, no, make sure you go to Mozambique, spend whatever it is, go into debt, get the experience. So don't go into too much debt.
Yeah.
But I was so thankful that I did that. And, it gave me this exposure. I haven't been back, but it just was that. So really, take advantage of the opportunities that you may have. Go experience something different you don't know about and get to Mozambique someday. It's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'd say I did a similar deal. So when I went in and got my master's degree, I went in and got some public aid, and there's some financial aid, and they said, well, I needed like $2,500 to pay for my class, and I went in with my FAFSA report, and they're like, well, how much do you need? I'm like, how much can I get? They're like, well, $8,500. I'm like, I'll take $8,500. Learned a lot of lessons with that $8,500. And that was during the stock market. Pumped it all in there, lost it all. Like, went home, saw my dad, and he's just like, "What did you just do?" I'm like, "Well, I guess I learned a lesson real early." But you gotta do it.
Figure it out. And remember, life is long, right? I mean, never fixate too much on one thing. Sometimes I think back to college and the things that freaked me out then, or heaven forbid high school, or just 10 years ago as an adult, and I realized, man, I really sweated that a lot. So just know that there's always another day, there's always another chance and opportunity, no matter how tough things seem at the time.
So with both of you being incredibly successful in both of your fields, we had a panel this last week with a bunch of entrepreneurs from Kansas City. Yes. And one of the questions we asked them was, what is their key to networking with people? And how do you become that people person? So either of you, can start.
I think you got to find real interest in the person. And so I actually like an interview like this, and we're getting to meet each other now too. I mean, it's never work too hard at just being like, oh, I'm meeting the CEO, I need his card, I need his connection, all that. Actually try to talk to people as humans. I mean, because if you like somebody, if you actually enjoy the interaction, that makes you remember them, that makes you really want to kind of invest in what they're doing and answer their call later. Whereas if it's just like, oh yeah, I met this guy, what does he want, all of that, that's something different. So I would say no matter where you are, really try to build that connection. Maybe don't spend your time at the networking fair trying to talk to 20 people. Have 5 great conversations, and I think that makes a world of difference.
I agree. I think a lot of it is just getting out and doing it. And so because I was kind of a accounting firm consulting guy for a long time, and then got into the business development role, so you had to get out. And so Kansas City is a great town to do it, first of all, because I think everybody's willing to introduce you to a lot of people. So you kind of just slowly connect the dots. And I think if you go in there with the right intentions, there's not a lot of people, because you realize that athletes or successful business people or mayors, they're just people, you know what I mean? And they're no different than anybody else. And so you realize that everybody's really on the same playing field as far as, just having conversations. So just do it.
Making that human connection, essentially. And Kansas City also is just a really friendly town, I'd say, in every interaction I've had. But
I mean, I want to ask you, so what is one person, or you said that would motivated you to come to where you are today, that inspired you to say, I could do that, or I can take a step and go into this direction? What is one person, maybe 2 people or 3 people, that has inspired you through your journey of being where you are today?
Sometimes examples are important, and I never, particularly when we talk about politics, I never discount what an example of someone who's breaking a barrier can mean. For me, that actually was Emmanuel Cleaver, who's our congressman now, but who was mayor of Kansas City in the 1990s. And so I was a kid, he was our first black mayor, and I'm kind of like, wow, that's interesting, that can happen. Right? Now we've had 3. But I was kind of like, okay, this means that there are so many things that you could just fathom doing at some point. And so that was something for me. But, and then more personally, I think my motivation, as for many people, my mother, she worked her tail off, had all these challenges, raised 3 kids by herself. Her highest paid job until recently was like $32,000 a year. but made sure kids got an education, all of that. And I was always like, man, if she can persevere through stuff, then what am I complaining about? You know, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd say mine, like you said, the easy ones, parents. I grew up with a great mom and dad and stepmom and they're very generous people and you know, gave me everything that I needed. And so I mean, they just kind of, I owe everything to them. So yeah.
What do you think do you think your belief in something bigger than yourself has brought you this far, or do you think maybe faith, or what is one thing that you can account to say, man, this thing has been able to hold me? Do you think your belief, because I believe that sometimes you have to believe in something greater than yourself, or your vision. What do you think has your belief in your vision or your faith in something that has brought you guys this far?
You know, I think just the belief in being good to people. I'm a big act with integrity type person. No matter what religion or culture or you know background you have, it's just, you know, I think if you're good to people, it'll eventually come back. So that's kind of how I try to live my life. Is just you know the whole karma aspect of it is it all ends up coming around some way.
Yeah, I just want to steal his answer. No, because, you know, sometimes, you know, what's the commonality from when I lived in this town in central Kansas to being in this city in Kansas City, Missouri, to being in Ithaca, New York? It was that, whenever I was kind, right, you could build relationships with everybody. I mean, I've had the fortune of being mayor. I've taught in maximum security prisons. I've dealt with a lot of different folks. But if you just are like, you know, you just square on a normal basis with them, you're good, you're decent, things work out. I mean, sometimes what I lament about American politics is that seems to be lost somewhat, particularly at the national level. Whereas if you're just like remembering why we're here, why to be good to people, how it's good to work with others, then it turns out it all works out. So like they say, really everything you learned in kindergarten is like the guide for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Awesome. Now we're gonna switch into this section because I don't know if you guys have ever tried. I think you have tried Ruby Jean Juicery because I've seen you in Ruby Jeans with pictures. But we have Ruby Jean Juicery here, which is a Kansas City known brand. The founder and the CEO of the company is Chris Good, who's also been on my show. He's a fun dude. We're gonna have a taste and just see what you guys think about
Does he
the
have
juice.
a sponsorship deal? Is this
No, we don't get a sponsorship deal. I just like his juice, and I'm trying to
make him pay you for that. Come on, there you go.
I'm telling him now, Chris Good. The mayor said so. So you reach out to me. Okay, so I'm gonna take a dip, but I'm gonna ask you a question while we're drinking.
I have one real quick.
Okay,
actually,
give them. Yeah.
And it's a more fun one. If you guys could tell us just 2 things that maybe not everybody knows about you.
Oh boy, I'll go one. Let's do one. Because 2 will be tough. Jeez, I don't know. Like it'd be boring to be like I speak Spanish. Don't you hate it? People have those bio facts that are like good for them? Like, I'm very smart. Thing you won't know about me, like man, this is actually tougher. You finally stumped me in a way. But I will go with. I could use kayaking. I went skiing for the second time recently, and I am terrible at it. So I don't know. That's a terrible answer, but I'll think of something about it.
Skiing. I mean, I'm bad at it too.
You know, I've always wanted to be a teacher. Even going way back when. I still think I may do it someday when this is all done, and I mean, that's about as creative as I can get, I think. Yeah.
What is so I had a more serious question.
Yeah, we won't make you think about it
Well,
anymore.
no. I mean, now
a good
see,
one.
they give me time and they come together. I lived worked on a campaign in St. Louis once and ended up living with 3 guys. And then we met a dude at the bus stop who was homeless, and we invited him to live with us too. Oh, wow. And so like every morning, me and this dude named Vince, who I didn't know, would just like we were sleeping like this close to each other. I'm like, this is one hell of an experience. And so, that's kind of interesting. And then then a tornado hit town, and we had no like air conditioning, and it was just in many ways an awful summer in St. Louis, but I learned a lot about the world.
When was
fantastic.
this?
Oh gosh, this would have been right after college for me. So
Oh, okay. All right.
Back in the days.
Yeah, back in the day.
We don't want to date it. Do you guys think Siri and Alexa is taking over the
it's a very
world?
serious
It's a
question.
very serious question. You think they're taking over the world?
No, they creep me out. They do. Like we got them in the little ones in the kids' room. I won't let them in the middle of the house or the kitchen. I was just like, these things are listening to you.
Yeah.
No,
that's
we shouldn't
weird.
say that. We're gonna cut this out, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know. Then like Siri's gonna track you down.
Yeah.
You said something about me. It's weird how much everything has changed so quickly, but I guess that's a good thing about the world because, you know, even smartphones aren't that old.
Yeah.
And now they become such a part of life. I mean, y'all probably or may not remember, but like, I remember being a little kid when I used to actually go to the barber shop. And like you just had to sit there and be bored for a really long time.
Yeah.
You just waited. You didn't have. It wasn't like fun. You know, parents didn't hand you something.
Go to lunch and just eat.
Right, exactly. Everybody would be at the restaurant talking to each other.
Yeah.
It's crazy. College, we had to like just walk out and speak to other people. We couldn't text them. And the other thing that's changed a lot. You remember back when you made plans, right? Like people just had to show up.
Yeah.
You couldn't text them like, oh yeah, I'm running 20 minutes late, or let's go here instead.
Yeah.
You would just like, you know, if somebody didn't show up, you just sat there and waited.
Yeah.
You guys had, I mean, if you're at the restaurant, I was about to say, you guys had house phones, etc. Like,
Yes, we had
Yeah.
phones.
But once you left the house, you're done.
Right,
You gotta find a payphone somewhere that you can maybe track somebody down. That's it.
That's right.
What is you guys' one word? What is one word you believe in? Being able to go through what you've been, being where you are today. What is one word you would say? This is what I believe in, and say kind of why do you believe in that word? A little bit deeper question.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
You know, gosh, and things like this, I could be like resiliency, courage. No, like, see, I'm not going to steal your thought because you were going to say kindness. I think like dedication.
Yeah.
Just whatever you do, always try to like work real hard to be the best you can at it. And that's what your customers deserve, your clients deserve, the public. I mean, no matter what it is that you do, if you're like, I'll just, you know, from the prison guards I've worked with to law professors, to everybody under the sun, the ones that actually were just like, I'm going to be good at my job. I'm going to be good to people who were dedicated have been the best. I've tried to be that way.
I'd say integrity. It's one of the core values that we have at FiredUp is act with integrity. And it's kind of the way we talk about it is do the right thing when nobody's watching. And so I think if you do that, I think, you know, you're going to end up all right.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We heard it from the best of the best in Kansas
Yeah,
City. So
absolutely.
we should do it.
Yeah, there's,
Whoa.
yeah.
We should probably do it.
Bring Mr. Mahomes in sometime.
Yeah,
and like
You guys know Mahomes, so like that's
Yeah,
your word.
yeah.
We right here. That's what I'm talking about right here. You guys, Mahomes, you know, works for company. He's your best friend, so we're right here. But
We just want to say thank you guys so
Yes.
much for coming in
Yeah,
because like
having
just
us. Yeah.
as like college students, UMKC students, like it means a lot, and this will be going out to UMKC students as
happy to
well.
do
So
it.
just like getting to know you guys has definitely been a fun time. Yeah.
I was very happy to do it.
Yeah.
thank you for coming on the show. I mean,
fun.
I would say where can they find you on the air? But like you search Mayor Quinton
yeah.
Lucas, it's just you pop up everywhere.
Yeah, I just
and then
try.
FiredUp as well. Just like look that up.
How can
as
they
well.
find you on the
how-
internet as well? Like just-
FiredUp.com.
FiredUp.com. You just this is cool. Like we have people who you can Google them and they just pop up. We
I
know
know.
if you Google them,
Yeah, if you don't Google- if you Google us, we don't show up.
It
You'll
makes
be
our
there.
job easier.
Yeah,
it makes our job easier.
It took me
you know?
43 years. You got time. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Sweet. Well,
And by the way, 43 will happen to you faster than you think. I know right now you're sitting back like, no, never.
That dude's old.
beautiful. Well, thank you guys for today.
thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for tuning in today. This is FiredUp KC, the show that brings all the leaders in Kansas City purpose and leadership. And it's been a wonderful conversation with you guys today. Thank you so much. We'll sign off for now, but hey, make sure to tune in. Make sure to subscribe at FiredUp KC, and I'll see you guys next time. But for now, bye-bye.
This is Mayor Q,
This is John Owen.
and follow FiredUp KC on Instagram, Twitter, Snap, TikTok if you can do that.
FiredUp KC.